Hey there guys, this is Tim Hubbard, Preacher's Seat. I just wanted to show you kind of how my system works. Been using it for about 30 years or so hunting in the woods. I ran across this idea years ago reading a magazine article in Peterson's Bow Hunting, if I remember right. Saw a picture of a doctor who was a bow hunter, and he was hunting in some unusual places, and the article talked about how he could stay in the same stand all day and be comfortable doing so. And as a result of that, I just looked at the picture of what he had, and then a few years later ran across a video that I saw of some guys hunting in a stand similar to this, and they called theirs the Any Tree stand, and it just looked like a neat setup. And I decided I was going to try to make one instead of order one and buy one from somebody else. And so I began to fool with some things, put some straps together, and this is what I came up with. And like I say, I call it the preacher's seat, best seat in the woods. You know, if you invite the preacher to your house, you're going to give him the best seat in the house. So if he goes to the woods to hunt, he ought to have the best seat in the woods. So that's why I called it that. And had some friends through the years that I've made these for, and they still hunt out of them even till today. And no accidents that I'm aware of, and thankful for that. But very safe hunting system, and I just wanted to give you a basic idea. I'm not going to actually climb the tree and show you how it works. I'll show you from the ground, but just wanted to show you the setup that I use to climb trees with is a lineman's type belt, and it's got a little pouch on there, and I use these 3/8 inch grade 8 bolts as my steps, and I've got a woodpecker drill that's strapped onto this. And this drill, I don't know if it's available anymore. I bought it from Jerry Simmons Archery Products in Alabama years ago, and use this drill, and it takes about the same amount of time to drill holes and then pop one of these bolts in as it does to screw in a step. And I just found it a lot easier because it's easier to handle, it's light to carry in, and when you get your steps, trees ready to hunt, you can either leave your steps there, or you can pull out the last few steps and nobody can get up to hunt the trees you're hunting in. I hunt on private land, so it's not really an issue, but for some places I've hunted in the past, from public land, you could go in and you could hunt with this. And good thing about this little drill system is it does leave a hole in the tree, but you can go back the next year, that hole is sealed up. It doesn't kill the tree because you're not cutting through the entire cambium layer of the tree. So it works real well. So rather than demonstrate that, I'd use just actually it's a lineman's belt that came with a lineman's type belt that came with a safety harness is what I'm using now. And the reason I use it, it's just easy to adjust the length real quick, and it works real well. I'm going to take the belt off just long enough to show you the stand set up and talk to you briefly through that. The preacher's seat stand, as I said a minute ago, was something I saw someone else hunting with, and I decided I would try to make something like it. So basically, the hunting stand itself is right here in this one hand. It weighs very little, and I've got it set up to where I can pack it in with back straps on my back and strapped to it. I've got a little pouch on the back just to hold some odds and ends that I might need from time to time. Put on this seat a couple of U-bolts and made a little gun rack, bow rack, whatever you want to call it, so that when you need to relieve your hands of the pressure of your gun or your bow, you can at least hang it there for just a moment. Also becomes a handy place to wrap up your pull-up strap, things of that nature. Also, when I carry it in, I just wrap my tree strap with me, and I'll show you that in just a moment. This is a real simple situation. It's just a piece of plywood that is cut out in the shape of a T, and I've decided on just the T shape. When I first made it, I had an adjustable middle piece that would come between your legs, but I found that T-shaped seat gives you the greatest comfort while in the tree. The seat itself is wide enough to keep the pressure of the straps, the webbing off of your hips too badly. And then also, when if you've sat in a tree saddle or something like that before, and you find yourself with your knees against the tree all the time, that gets old and gets tiring very quick, especially the older you get. And with this, you can actually let this sit against the tree and it'll level out, and you can sit there all day if you want to without any weight on your legs, and just let the strap hold you in. When I go up the tree, I usually get to the tree and I unwrap it, and I stick it over one shoulder, and then when I climb the steps, I usually use my lineman's belt and just clip to these two quick links that I've got here, and let that kind of serve as holding me safely to the tree while I'm climbing up. once I get to the tree, and I'm going to show you the first rope I used for years and years and years, just was a piece of rope that was rated pretty heavy weight-wise. I found this brass snap ring years ago that was rated very high, and I hunted on it for a long time, and just decided the older I got and the more I wanted to live a long time, I was going to try to take everything that could be a possible hazard while hunting off of my system. So I stopped hunting with this particular one as I got heavier. I didn't want it to be overrated, but I wanted to show this to you because I think this is really the best way for me anyway when I get to a tree to tie on. And I use just a simple what's called a timber hitch around our parts, and after you've hunted in it for years, you kind of understand the distance you want to be away from the tree. And so when you get to your height in the tree, you just take that rope and you loop around your main line and then feed it back through a couple of times on the opposite side, and then with that timber hitch, your weight is what literally holds you to the tree. And after I'm tied to the tree, then I would snap it on and let my stand come down behind me and just lean back on it. And then, as I said a minute ago, because it's got this T in the middle, you can let it rest upon the tree and it'll hold your weight and suspend you, and you don't even have to have your feet literally pushing against your foot pegs in your highest position, because your weight will balance out and it will hold you right here. Now you see my timber hitch is slipping a little bit. That doesn't normally happen, but I normally take a little more care in tying it tighter before I sit down in it. But it does work that way. I was going to show you also that what I started doing a few years ago, after watching some guys using a prusik knot to be able to adjust their height and all quickly, I started using one of those. And so I rigged up a rope system like many of you probably are using already. And let's see how it's all bundled up here. And just simply you go around the tree with this and feed it back through the loop. And then once you've got everything through the loop, you snap back into it by coming through your brace onto your saddle, your bridle, I should say, on your saddle, and you let it run through that, and then back in and snap here to your prusik knot. When you snap it, of course, you tighten it, and then you can adjust your distance however you want it for your comfort level. And then when you sit back on that same principle as before, the only thing different is you do have some leverage and some ability to adjust your distance away from the tree. I found with this tree stand that I can sit all day, and I find myself sitting in this position more than any, but I love it because while bow hunting, which I do a lot of, it's easy to shoot just about completely around the tree by simply just bending a knee or just easing around, putting another set of steps in where you can ease around by bringing your bow over. The thing I love about it, it keeps the tree usually between you and the game, and you can use that as to your advantage while hunting. Well, nothing fancy. When bow hunting, you see I've got a little strap here that hangs off of this, and I rest my bow, the end of my bow there, so I don't hold the weight, but I keep my bow in my hand most of the time while I'm hunting. I don't want to dare to slip up and me not have my bow ready to shoot. That's happened too many times in the past. And as I said a moment ago, I put these little hooks on there, so if I wanted to drink a cup of coffee or something, which I do in the stand, I would set my bow there long enough to be able to pour a cup of coffee, drink it, pick my bow back up. And I do sometimes hang a tree step above me, and we'll use it to hang things on. But I usually try to hunt as just as tightly as I can with everything happening right here on my stand. Hope this makes a little sense. I know it's not a real deep description of the bridle. I tried to put one in there of how I made that, and all of this is just webbing strap. Got just a couple of quick links that are here holding everything together, and I did that so I wouldn't have to sew anything and have stitches holding my weight. Everything here is bound by either a bolt or whatever. So if you have any other questions after you see this, let me know and I'll try to answer those questions. And happy hunting to you and safe hunting to you in the days ahead. May the Lord bless you as you enjoy His outdoors.